Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today it's Usereme here. If today is your first time on here, you're welcome. Please click the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. In this video, I'm going to be making use of these fabrics to share with you how to make a layered sleeve. So let's go straight into this video. First thing I went ahead to do was to cut out this 15 inches on all sides square piece of fabric that I'm going to use to cut out the flare that is going to be at the sleeve, the layers, what I'm going to use to create the layers of flare. So as you can see, I folded into 4 and I'm going to not take my measurement from here, but from this part here that is folded, this part here that you can see. So from here, I'm going to use the same method of cutting a 360 degrees flare, and the measurement I'm going to be using here is my arm measurement divided by 4. That's round arm divided by 4. I kind of made a rough measurement, as you can see, and I made a mark from there, and from that point I'm going to take whatever measurement I have all the way to the end of the fabric, as you can see me doing like this. And I'm going to do this all the way to the end. For this particular piece, I had 2 inches because the arm round for this particular person is 14 inches. So by the time I finished marking this out, I had around 15.5 inches, and the extra inches is going to serve as my stitching allowance. So from that point there, that initial point, as you can see what I'm doing, I'm taking the length of the flare, which is 5 inches, but I'm marking this as 5.5 inches. The other half inch is what I'm going to use to stitch it. That means I don't have enough allowance on this material because the material I'm working with is not very big, so I'm actually trying to save up materials here. So what I'm going to do is to use the extra half inch. I'm going to manage the extra half inch to stitch the flare to the other part of the arm. So right now, as you can see, I'm cutting the flare out. So this is what it looks like, and what I'm going to do is to place this right now on the lining. I've already folded the lining just the same way I folded this actual fabric, and I'm just going to trace this out, as you can see me doing like this. So this is what I have. This is the lining piece, and this is the actual fabric for the armhole. So I went ahead to cut out all the pieces that I'll be needing. I'll be needing 2 layers on each sleeve. So this is what I have, each layer paired with their lining, as you can see like this. So altogether I have 2 pairs for each sleeve. So guys, what I'm going to do now is to put the other pieces aside, and I'm going to cut my flare on one side, just the way you're seeing me doing like this, just to open it on one side. And what I'm going to do is to just quickly iron this together. If you don't have iron or there's no light while you're trying to sew this, there is really no problem. You really don't have to iron at this point, but since there's light, I just decided to just iron it out to make my work neater. So you can just iron it out. As you can see, I've ironed it out, the right sides facing each other. What I'm going to do is to just hold this together all the way around where I want to go and sew on my sewing machine, and I'm just going to pin it down. So guys, as you can see, I'm done pinning this down. I'm just going to take it and stitch it all the way around on the sewing machine, and I will do the same thing for all the other pieces. So this is what it looks like after I've stitched it down. I went ahead to niche all the sides around just so it will be easier for me to turn it to the right side. So I'm going to turn it to the right side through that hole that I didn't sew. Remember, I didn't sew it all the way around. So I'm going to turn it to the right side, and I'm just going to quickly iron it out as well to make it look neat. So this is what it looks like after I have ironed it out. I went ahead to do all the other 4 pieces just the same way, and this is what they look like. This is how one looks like. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to cut out my sleeve itself. So I folded my fabric into 2, that's folding my fabric into 2 using the round arm measurement divided by 2, and I went down from the upper part of the fabric by 5 inches, and I just made a curve to give me my armhole. So the length of my armhole is going to be 11 inches, so I've marked it here. And what I'm going to do now is to measure out this flare. As you can see, I have 5.5 inches, and at the end of the day I want it to be 5 inches, and the full length of this sleeve that I'm working with is 18 inches. So I'm not going to be marking out 18 inches on this sleeve. I'm going to be removing that 5 inches that I have on the flare. So what I'm going to mark out here is actually 13 inches, guys. So I'm going to mark out 13 inches, and after that I'm going to take my arm measurement divided by 2. I'm going to add extra 2 inches allowance to that, and I'm as well going to mark it up as well. So after that, I just went ahead to cut out my sleeve, and I also used the first sleeve I cut out to trace out the other sleeve I have to cut out. So this is what the two sleeves, these are the two sleeves for the right and the left arm looks like. I went ahead to sew a lining piece to it, and I ironed it out, and this is what it looks like after I've attached the lining to the both pieces. So what I'm going to do now is to start adding the flare to the sleeve. So this is one of the flare, 2 actually for each sleeve. So for this particular sleeve, what I'm going to do is to open it up, and I'm going to open up my flare, as you can see, like this, and what I'm going to do is to pin it down. After holding it with my pins, this is actually the first layer. This is how the first layer looks. So from this first layer, I'm going to go up, measure up from that point where I had the first layer. I'm going to measure up by 3 inches. So that is where this 3 inches I'm going to measure up is where I'm going to place the other flare that I have cut out. So I'm just going to take this measurement up from that point, 3 inches, all the way to the end of this sleeve, as you can see me doing like this. So this is it. I've marked 3 inches from the where the other fabric meets the hand, sorry. So as you can see, initially I'm supposed to make one part of my flare bigger than the other, but I forgot to do that. And as you can see, the arm I have is around 17 inches, and what I have on my flare is 15 inches. So what I'm just going to do is not a very hard thing to do. I'm just going to cut out round the upper part of my sleeve, the flare, sorry, as you can see me doing like this. I'm just going to cut it all the way to the end, and that's going to give room for more inches when I place it back on the sleeve. So as I measured it out, and it was exactly 17.5 inches, which is what I wanted exactly. So just like the way I did the first layer, I'm going to turn this right side facing each other again like this, and I'm going to pin it down as well. So this is what it looks like, guys. I'm going to just have just 2 layers of flare on this particular sleeve. If you're going to be adding more layers, it's the same principle. All you have to do is create another line and add more layers. So after I've stitched it down, I've done it for the both sleeves. This is what it looks like. I've stitched it down on my sewing machine. As you can see how neatly it looks. So basically, this is how you make a layered sleeve. Very easy. If you have to add more layers, measure up and add another layer as well. So I went ahead to stitch down the sides of this sleeve, and the next thing I went ahead to do very easy was to attach the sleeve to my dress. So I just pin the sleeve to the dress and I went ahead to stitch it down, and this is how it looks like. Basically, this is how you make a layered sleeve. If you've been wondering how did they do this, this is really how it's done. Very simple. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. If today was your first time on this channel, please subscribe and don't forget to leave me a comment in the comment section. Bye bye.